Let's be honest, most of us learn more about sex on the internet than we did in school. But what if I told you there's still a lot we're getting wrong about our own bodies? Today, I'm sitting down with Farah Kabir, founder of Hanx, to talk about what no one tells you about female sexual wellness, why the industry is still failing women, and what needs to change. Let's get into it. Welcome, Farah.
Hi,
So
Chanella.
happy to have you. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I just want to go straight to how you got into Hanx. You went from investment banking to launching a sexual wellness brand. What moment made you realise I have to do this?
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy career change, much to the dismay of my family initially, to go from investment banking.
Goldman Sachs.
Into condoms. But actually, I spotted a real gap in the market. Essentially, there weren't products designed with women in mind. And especially in sexual wellness, it's still so taboo to this day. You know, products that are garishly packaged, promoting a man's conquest, but over 40% of purchases were made by of condoms were made by women. Yet they'd never been addressed. Yeah,
No,
so there was a huge opportunity, and we hadn't seen anyone target, you know, the main players in the UK ever, whereas we'd seen a few great players in the US. And Sarah, my co-founder, my good friend, who's also a gynecology doctor, thought this is a great opportunity to give it a go in a sale category and disrupt the sexual health industry as we know it.
I mean, you're building a brand in an industry still surrounded by stigma as well, let alone a male-dominated industry.
Yeah.
What's been the hardest part of changing the conversation around female sexual wellness?
There is still such a stigma around talking about pleasure and even the term sex or vaginas. And that can be anywhere from raising investment right the way through to advertising our product on platforms such as Meta. You know, a lot of our adverts still get banned because we're seen as adult, taboo, and it's stigmatized. And that makes it incredibly challenging as a brand that's trying to break those taboos and empower women to take control of their health. And we're trying to change that, and it is changing slowly but surely. But there are still pretty traditional views around sex. People see it as vice and seedy when ultimately it's not. It truly is about empowering women to take control of all aspects of their health without shame or embarrassment.
I mean, you mentioned Meta, so major platforms like Meta and Google, and even recently, I think, is it your Shopify, to put payments through because you own a sexual wellness brand. They make it very hard to advertise and just as a business, day-to-day operations. How do you grow with that system that just so works against you?
It's incredibly challenging. I mean, we have a small but mighty team, but if you can imagine 8 out of 10 of our adverts get banned from Meta, we then have to go away, amend, pivot on the creative, try and do some guesswork around why it got rejected. And then repost, and that's so time consuming as a small brand. But I mean, I talk about these things quite publicly, as you'll have seen, even with the recent payment provider issue. And I think there's a real power in community, and you know, the fact that people, you know, it had so many reshares and posts, that one about payment providers, that it got in front of very senior people who were willing to help and support this change. So I think it's an ongoing challenge that people don't see when you work in sexual wellness. But I think if you can really tap into your community and talk about it, there are people along the way who can help for sure.
And you're up against massive legacy brands in this space. Massive. Yeah. One that begins with a capital D. But what's your competitive advantage?
I think we have a women first angle, and I think that's really important. Yeah. For decades, these large players have only thought of one view in mind, and that's a man's pleasure.
Yeah.
And for us, it's quite simple. It's female pleasure. And just by putting women first, not only are we looking at the packaging, the brand, the tone of voice, but also the ingredients. You know, we've always wanted our products to be as considered as your skincare faves. You know, they shouldn't have any nasty chemicals or irritants. But we also wanted to build a brand that has a tone of voice that's real and relatable, that doesn't gloss over the realities of being a woman in the modern day. And that's something these archaic brands just can't build, you know. They've been speaking to men for decades.
It's the sex ed we never got, basically.
Yeah.
so many of us grew up with terrible sex ed. How much of your mission is about re-educating women on their own bodies?
Yeah, I think it's super important that women know their bodies, feel confident in their bodies, and have that health angle where they know what's going on. And it's it scares me that still in the UK in this day and age, sex ed isn't where it needs to be. It's not holistic. You know, people still feel scared to go to the GP and get help. So what we're trying to do at Hanx is change the mission around that and really empower women to take control. So we offer not only products, but a lot of content online covering from relationships, menopause, right the way through to sex, etc. And I think it's really important to have that holistic view. And here at Hanx, what we want to do is connect the milestones of women's health. So it's not just about sex and condoms. It's all about empowering you right the way from your first period to your first time having sex, your first child, menopause and beyond. And we don't think there's any other platform that offers that here in the UK, holistic women's health.
So safe to say you're turning the conversation from just sexual wellness to self-care.
Yeah.
And women have been using the same outdated sexual wellness products for decades. What are the hidden health risks most people don't know about?
So I'm baffled that, you know, we don't consider intimate parts of our health as we do with, say, skincare or any other kind of healthcare shopping needs. So you would see what ingredients there are in your skincare, but when it comes to using tampons or condoms, people don't have a clue what's in these products. And we were baffled when we saw the products on the market. Condoms often have spermicides, they have anesthetics, which can make a man last longer. So again, these archaic brands are truly thinking of male pleasure, but actually they're super irritating for the pH balance of a vagina, super irritating for women, and can cause irritations and thrush. And so I think it's super important that there's transparency around it, and that's what we're trying to do at Hanx, which is why, you know, our products are kinder to the body, kind to the planet, no nasty chemicals or irritants, still as effective as other medical devices on the market. And for example, like our lubricant is water-based. You know, what a gynecologist would recommend are the products that we would create. So we're not in the business of making products that are super popular, like strawberry flavoured lube or feminine wipes, etc., if they're not good for your body, and your gynae wouldn't recommend it.
So in addition to chemicals, what's one thing that's secretly messing with our sexual wellness and we don't even realise it? Stress, diet?
Yeah, I mean, stress is a huge one. High cortisol levels, like living in the world that we do today, people are at constant states of stress, whether that's through work, family, life, etc. And I think that, in effect, you know, will affect your mental health, and that can affect, therefore, your confidence and how you're feeling and your libido. So I think it is all very holistic and inherent. I think focusing on your wellness and, you know, not having high stress levels can definitely support a better sex life. I think people forget that part. They think sex is just physical, but it's much more than that.
And what is your best selling product? Is it the condoms or the lube?
Yeah, the condoms, the hero product. Our condoms are definitely our best.
Regular or large?
Do you know, it's so funny. Our regular condoms should fit about 80% of the male market.
Okay.
But we do offer that choice. The larger, more endowed.
What is the most, I feel like I'm about to ask one, but what is the most offensive or stupid question you've had to answer, either from potential investors or customers?
Oh, we've had a whole range. I mean, customers have often been fantastic and great. They're super supportive. And I'm always overwhelmed at how honest our customers are with us. You know, they will send us DMs about most intimate parts of their life, but in a really endearing way that we just know they wouldn't email Durex and say that your lube changed my marriage.
You've really built that community.
Yeah, which is amazing. But on the flip side, when we've raised investment, we've had terrible questions, right the way from, you know, an investor asking me how to demonstrate how to put on a condom.
Did you do that? Or no?
Of course I didn't.
No,
I asked him if he had a daughter and if he would ask his daughter to do the same.
Nice.
You know, I think it's horrific that male investors are speaking this way. Right the way through to, you know, investors saying to us, well, you and Sarah are just two little girls. What do you know about a male-dominated industry? So still archaic views in the space, but I'm here to call people out on their bullshit.
You're offering more than sexual wellness products. So you have an online clinic. So you're going more into medical, offering weight management and hormonal contraception. For years, we've been told weight loss is just about diet and exercise. Do the GLP-1, Ozempic, Mounjaros prove that willpower was never the problem, or is it just another shortcut? Like how are your sales with it?
Yeah, really good question. So just to take a step back from before we get into Ozempic, because it's a huge topic.
Yeah.
With Hanx, yes, we started with condoms and lubes, and it was a real talking point and very taboo, but we always knew we wanted to go into wider women's health. And especially with Sarah's experience as a gynae doctor, it just lends itself so well. So in the last few years, we built products around the various stages of women's health, such as menopause, libido, early pregnancy, etc. And so we have a range of products offering those. And one of the areas we found that people were often asking for were medical prescriptions. You know, they were either time-strapped, but or couldn't get a GP appointment for their repeat prescriptions. So we built an online pharmacy, Hanx, where we offer prescription birth control, over-the-counter vaginal health treatments, and most recently GLP-1s, which could have been seen as quite a controversial move. But for us, we found actually when we look at wider gynae health, a lot of women who are going through the menopause or suffer from PCOS or endometriosis, often a side effect is insulin resistance, which makes it quite difficult for them to lose weight. And here at Hanx, we're all about choice. And so we were super proud to launch the GLP-1 service in September, offering Wegovy and Mounjaro. And coming back to your initial question, you know, I think everyone has different challenges around health, particularly with obesity, and often it is chronic. I don't think this injection is a quick fix. I think it has to be taken alongside a healthy lifestyle change, nutrition, exercise. So I think it's important, you know, when we offer it through our weight management program, it's that wider piece. It's not just the medication. So I don't think it's a quick fix. Would you agree?
No, it's definitely not. And I think there's also a lot of shame and secrecy around using it. It's a similar thing to what, you know, women buying condoms, etc. There is a stigma behind it. But why do you think we're treating Ozempic, Mounjaro differently than, say, antidepressants and contraception?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think people do see it as cheating. I think people see it as a quick fix and that, oh, you're just taking a drug and it makes you skinny. But people often don't see the side effects of it as well. So, like, firstly, you're putting an injection in your body, which is already quite invasive on a weekly basis. There are side effects to this, you know, dehydration, etc. Like, you have to really change your lifestyle whilst taking this medication, and that includes nutrition. So I don't think it's cheating, but because people see it that way, they're like, go to the gym and work out. But there are lots of women's health conditions that make it incredibly difficult to lose that weight in more traditional ways. I hope people open up about it, but I think things like obesity is quite ingrained, and, you know, it's not just physical, it's mental. And I think it's a behaviour change.
As you're disrupting this market, with a lot of shame and stigma, how is that journey? And what do you see for the future of sexual wellness in 5 years?
I really want women of all ages, background stages to feel comfortable accessing and talking about sexual wellness, whether you're a mother, aunt, sister, daughter. I'd love for it to be as considered as things like nutrition, fitness, yoga, Pilates. Like, we should be talking about sexual wellness and pleasure as if it is another pillar of our health without that.
So desensitize everybody as much as you've been desensitized.
Completely. And I think the other part to that is truly offering that holistic piece to women's health. What we want to do here at Hanx is offer access and speed to diagnosis. So whether that's having online gynae appointments, further diagnostics on our platform in future, really being the one-stop shop for women's health.
If there was one thing every man could do to immediately improve in the bedroom, what would it be?
Communication. Communication is key. Being vocal. It's a two-way street with this kind of thing. Having that open communication about what you like, what you don't like. And it's the same for women and men. Know your body. Know what you like, know what you don't like. Get to know yourself. Having that self-pleasure and knowing your body will make you more confident and be able to communicate when you're in the bedroom with someone else.
Wow. Thank you.